But we have told them we want to disarm, and they will disarm. And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently. But they will disarm. Do you understand me? I spoke to Hamas, and I said, you're going to disarm, right? Yes, sir, we're going to disarm. That's what they told me. They will disarm, or we will disarm them. Got it?
Joining us now, former Deputy National Security Advisor during Trump's first term, KT McFarland. KT, it's always great to see you. And when the president speaks like that, he certainly means business. I think everybody around the world has heard him loud and clear. But as we enter this peace negotiation process, there are phases of this plan that have to play out. And that, of course, is the biggest concern, that Hamas will make it difficult or not hold up its end of the bargain. Now, the president's saying, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then, you know, we can do it the hard way. No one wants to do it like that, but he will force Hamas's hand.
Yeah, and he's already talked about this. Last week, when he got all the countries in the world to sign on to the 20-point peace plan, he got that organized at the United Nations. And then 2 days after that, Bibi Netanyahu came to the White House. He signed on to the peace plan. And President Trump stood right next to the Israeli prime minister. And he said, and if Hamas doesn't go along with it, if they don't sign up for the 20-point peace plan, or if they sign up for it and then they do their typical tricks, he turns to Netanyahu and says, you'll finish the job, right? You'll finish the job and you'll do it quickly. So I think he's already given Israel, advance permission to just go in and kill everybody left in Hamas.
KT, what does this peace deal that President Trump put together, where does that lead us, the United States, next in terms of strength on the world stage? As we watch the Democrats here, whether it's Chuck Schumer or Gavin Newsom, shrieking and gasping for relevancy, President Trump is leading in a way that they will never understand. But where does that take us? In terms of how does the president, you know him, have worked for him, how does he leverage this into the next thing?
Okay, so a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, he's going to get Gaza rebuilt one way or another, and if Hamas is obliterated, probably all for the better. If they don't want to lay down their arms and have amnesty and go away, they'll be killed. And Gaza will then be rebuilt. Who will rebuild it? Not us, not our dime. It's the countries in the region, but frankly, it's the entire world that's going to come in and rebuild. This is an amazing investment opportunity. Rebuild Gaza. It's great for the Palestinian people. Why? Because they'll have jobs. The brilliance of what Trump has done in the Middle East is he had all the countries in the world abandon Hamas, all of Hamas's traditional supporters, and then he drove a wedge between Hamas and the Palestinian people, saying, if Hamas is gone, you Palestinian people, you have a bright future. What he's looking at as the next step in the region is not just peace in Gaza. It's not even the bigger Middle East peace, although I do think that the Arab countries and others in the region will quickly join the Abraham Accords. He's looking at the entire region as a potential major commercial trade route. Now, the Chinese have their one belt, one road. It goes from China through to Asia to Africa. Trump is looking at the Middle East, and if there's peace in the Middle East, then you have a trade route, and by trade, I don't just mean commerce and goods, but a cultural trade. It's the whole power. It's like the Roman Empire had trade routes, yes, but they had so much more. It would go from Europe to a peaceful Middle East to South Asia to India. That would be a major just transformation of the world economy. But what he takes now is, because he's got this stunning achievement under his belt, I think he said, I'm going to Russia next. I'm going to solve that one. So where is he with that? So he has sort of three major points to deal with to solve the Ukraine war. One is to get the Ukraine, he's got them. Two is to get Europe, he's got them. Now he's got to focus on Putin. And guess what the only guy on the stage wasn't? Putin wasn't there. Right. So this will be a very interesting week as President Trump turns to Putin.
Sure will.
He's used to the cold, but was it a cold breeze blowing with him being left out? KT McFarland, great to see you. Thank you so much.